Hello y'all, this is Hearts of Iron 4, and in this video I'm going to show you what the wonderful nation of Chad has to offer, and also give some brief history of what was going on there in the time frame Hoi 4 takes place in. Chad starts off as part of France, and will stay that way if it isn't released or made independent at the start by the Africa decolonized game rule. Historically, France first invaded Chad in the late 19th century, so by the time Hoi 4 begins, they've kind of been in the area for about 50 years maybe, or about almost something like that. And so in the 19th century that all happened, and later on of course there was other events. So the fundamental themes of the colonial experience from the French can be described as an absence of policies that were designed to unify the territory, and a very slow pace of modernization. The territory was seen as useful by the French as, well, it was useful for its raw cotton and untrained labor, though it was low on the priority list as far as colonies go for the French. And during World War II, Chad was one of the first French colonies to rejoin the Allies after the defeat of France in 1940, and under the administration of France's first black colonial governor, Felix Eboué, the colony would assist the Free French in opposing the Axis. At some point, Fort Lamy, aka N'Djamena here, the capital of Chad, was bombed by a German aircraft. And after the Second World War ended, the local political parties would form in the country, and decolonization would begin. And French Equatorial Africa, which Chad was a part of, along with, say, countries like Cameroon, perhaps, and Gabon, it was dissolved in 1958. French Equatorial Africa was. And in 1960, France agreed to Chad becoming fully independent. And so that explains what Chad was doing in the time frame Hoi 4 takes place in. And so, just to go over more of the details about the country itself in terms of its game stats and all that, you have your main state where your capital is. You have 1.44 million population in 1936. You also have a state called BET that stands for Burkina Nadi Taibesti, and this is kind of impassable terrain, and this will provide you 18,000 manpower in January 1936. So Chad, as far as populations go, it's not the largest in its region. It's still basically, if it went against Sudan and Nigeria, it would probably lose, because Nigeria has tons of manpower, in Sudan, I mean, it's spread out more, but they also have more manpower than Chad does. Chad is more or less, in terms of just a population, is rivaled by Niger, Cameroon, and the Central African Republic. And for a hypothetical path of expansion, if you don't want to fight countries that have tons of manpower, you could try to go through Cameroon quickly, and then, or the Central African Republic, then go down into Congo, Brazzaville, and Gabon, and Equatorial Guinea, because these countries, these three, don't have much manpower, and on their own they shouldn't be that hard to defeat, but there may be factions formed by then. And let's see resources now. So let's go to our, first off, resources. Where are they? Trade. We have no resources in Chad. There's none here in 1936. Then as far as factories go, well, research itself, you'll begin with basic weapons. That's it, basic equipment, and that is it. You have to work your way up, and that's just a starting situation there. And as far as factories go, you're also starting from ground zero, because there's no civilian factories, and there is no military factories or dockyards, and no divisions, of course, and you have 21,000 starting manpower. So Chad has potential when you start a game with it, but it definitely has to work its way up to a point to be strong. Chad has a generic focus tree, and it is what it is. And I should note that the capital's name is not entirely accurate, since it was called Fort Lamy from its founding from 1900 to 1973, and it was only named N'Djamena after, I believe, it was a Africanization campaign, and that was in the mid to late 20th century. And now I'm going to go over the different, cosmetic differences between the 4 different forms of Chad, depending on who rules it. And so that is their name and their flag. So I'm going to have to explain the flag of Chad itself. First off, in its non-aligned state of Chad here. The flag of Chad is a vertical tricolor consisting of a blue, gold, and a red field. it was intended to be a combination of the flag, well, the colors of the flag of France and the Pan-African colors as seen on the flag of Ethiopia. And blue apparently represents sky and hope, gold the sky and desert, and red signifies the blood shed over independence. The flag is similar to what Romania has on their flag big time, but ultimately Romania is not Chad, and Chad is not Romania. Under communism, there is the Democratic People's Republic of Chad, and the flag consists of the standard flag of Chad, but also there is something like a star symbol a star symbol with an arrow in it in the middle. And so it used to have a different flag, but it was changed at some point, I believe when By Blood Alone released for Hoi 4, that particular DLC. And as for the symbolism of why there is an arrow symbol in the flag, it seems to be trying to use a symbol that is on the coat of arms of the country of Chad, and that is just on display there. There's tons of red arrows on it, but the one Chad has in Hoi 4 as of this time, it uses a yellow arrow. With a democratic government established, there is the Republic of Chad, whose flag is basically the flag of Chad, but there is a star in the top part of the blue portion of the flag. Then finally, there is fascist Chad, and it is called the Pan-Sahelian Empire, and its flag is a black field with a white circle in the middle containing the National Order of Chad symbol, which in real life is the preeminent order of merit of the Republic of Chad. And the name Pan-Sahelian Empire has to do with the Sahel region, which is a biogeographic region in Africa, and it is supposed to be a transitional area between the Sahara of the north and the Sudanese savannas of the south. And if you were to take it to its territorial extent, you'd have to take parts of Sudan, Chad here, Niger, Mali, and perhaps parts of Mauritania and Senegal. And with that, this has been Chad Explained in Hearts of Iron 4. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to tell me in the comment section below, and like and subscribe.